Why do these conflicts keep feeding each other? It is very difficult to comprehend the complexity of the region's history, but this essay attempted to deconstruct key events and milestones that helped cause its perpetual demise, a pattern best described by Sisyphus rolling a boulder up a hill only to see it fall back again and having to take it up the hill again. No one could have predicted the bloody Gaza war could be followed almost immediately by the current war in Iran and the assault on Lebanon in a matter of months. Modern-time warfare has brought desperation and violence to civilians more than ever. This is a global phenomenon, not limited to the Middle East as evidenced by the situation in Ukraine and Sudan. The collapse of the Ottoman Empire produced a weak regional order. Subsequent colonial rule created states and borders with shallow grassroots legitimacy. The Palestinian question stayed unresolved and became central to regional politics. Israel emerged as a regional hegemon after World War II, supported by the United States and less interested in peace than in securing its domination, limiting any prospect for the resolution of the Palestinian conflict. Cold War rivalry militarized the region and strengthened authoritarian systems. Many states built authoritarian regimes without durable institutions capable of sustaining political transitions. The Iraq War shattered one of the main Arab states. The Arab Spring exposed how fragile many governments were. ISIS emerged from the Syrian civil war. Iran and its rivals then used this fragmented landscape to compete for influence. All these parts are linked, even if they may have seemed disconnected and spanned over a century. This is why looking only at the latest conflict can be misleading. The war in Gaza cannot be fully understood without looking at the history of Palestine, Israel, Arab politics, and regional rivalry. Syria cannot be understood without looking at authoritarian rule, the Arab Spring, sectarian politics, Iran, Russia, Turkey, and foreign intervention. Iraq cannot be understood without looking at colonial state building, dictatorship, the 2003 invasion, sectarian fragmentation, and ISIS. In conclusion, the Middle East remains trapped in conflict because its modern political order of the last 100 years was never fully settled. The collapse of the Ottoman Empire ended the old imperial system, but no stable replacement emerged. Britain and France imposed borders and political structures that were often illegitimate. The Palestinian question emerged from miscalculated colonial decisions and became a permanent source of conflict inside the region and beyond it. Some try to explain by the absence of the will to solve the problem. During the Cold War, outside powers turned local struggles into strategic contests. After independence, many governments built strong security systems but weak institutions. The Iraq War shattered one of the region's main states and destabilized the balance of power. The Arab Spring exposed deep fragility across the region. ISIS grew out of that breakdown. Iran and its rivals then used weak states and local wars as part of a larger struggle for influence. It is difficult to forget the role the United States has played in keeping the region in a state of perpetual conflict. The Iraq War, but also the US unconditional military and diplomatic support to Israel, and its actions are prime examples. There is no single cause behind the instability of the Middle East. But there is a clear pattern. Too many of the main political questions of the last century remain unresolved. They were contained, delayed, or forced into temporary arrangements. That is why the region continues to move from one conflict to another without reaching a stable political order. There have been no lessons learned from the tumultuous history of the region, and there has been no will or impetus to address the structural issues behind the crises engulfing the region year after year. We have now concluded this series examining why the Middle East remains marred in conflict. We hope you found this series insightful. If you did, please share your feedback. Your support is truly appreciated.